creative out to dry and just didn't work out for him. So we are into game number 2, picks and bans right now. Sivir, of course, banned out right away. That seems to be creative bread and butter AD carry. He had a decent game on Tristana last game, but just weren't able to close it out. And there we go, Fiddlesticks ban.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to at this point. I'm really surprised they left it up. Now, it wasn't necessarily the reason that Azingi's team was able to win, but
oh, no.
There's a reason it's been called Azingi's team.
Yeah.
He really is able to lead from that direction. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a similar champion. We've seen him play Jarvan, if that's available. Obviously, it's a very contested pick. Aurelia, banned away, Rek'Sai, no-brainer there. Now, this is dangerous territory if Gnar gets left up. Azir is banned now. What does G6... Do they spend the Gnar ban, or do they try to stop them from getting... Yep, there we go. I would say Jarvan first pick here. I mean...
Wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised.
Azingi is really comfortable in those types of champion roles.
Now, there's actually a lot of high priority picks left open. Lissandra is a big one as well, which seems to be a first pick, and Lissandra
He called it.
Is picked up. Yeah, it just seems like it's such a high priority pick, and it's a flex pick, which flex picks are fantastic for first picks because you don't know if that's going to be top or mid lane. It's high priority because it's strong, but it doesn't give your opponent an opportunity to counterpick it. And Kassadin fits that same boat. Jarvan doesn't really fit that same boat because, well, actually...
It's a comfort pick again, though, I think, for Cloudwin, because he is the OG, as you mentioned. It's not terrible because they still have a lot of pick potential if they build a team around that. I think this time they don't have to worry about getting like a Fizz, for example, to deal with a possible another Zed from Arc Second. But we're seeing really similar team comp now from G6 once again, and you know, I mean, it could just be that they don't want to vary their style. Obviously, it came down to execution. They definitely had a better comp come the later game.
For sure, yeah. And this seems to be a big comfort pick for this lane here for 3-2-1 is the Corki and Nami. Indivisible, I've watched probably about 30 games of 3-2-1 over the past, or as far back as Fission, because Indivisible was a part of Fission. Nami picked so many times, and even when they had a 80 carry before Jackstar, I and the IRS played Corki almost exclusively as well, so they're definitely happy to pick those up. Now, the one thing, though, is Lee Sin is still available. So they do have, G6 does have the option here of giving Cloudwin Lee Sin and putting Jarvan up in the top lane and putting our Kassadin in the mid lane for Peek and Wolf, because I mentioned earlier, Peek and Wolf has been spamming Kassadin in a lot of the rank 5s matches.
Well, then they also tried, Cloud9 tried that as well, and it didn't quite work out, but that's a different situation, different teams, understandably. I like what G6 is going for here, though. They go for the Graves Morgana bot lane. It's not necessary. You don't really need the Morgana. That could actually go mid. You think about it, like
could go top.
It could also go top. I mean, you don't really know what G6 is doing, and that's the thing. Despite the fact that they're running a very similar composition. Yeah. Well.
No. Okay. I got a little out of control there.
It's okay.
The League of
It happens to the best of us.
It's the League of Flex picks right now. I don't even know what to think.
Well, I mean, look at this though. Like 3-2-1, they're thinking, okay, maybe we put Arc Second on Zed this time, or again rather. The Vi choice, I wouldn't be that surprised to see, because they've sacrificed a tank in the top by taking the Lissandra and not, and taking the Zed, telegraphing that that's going to happen. So I think this makes a lot more sense than the Lee Sin, because it'll have much more scalability.
Yeah.
And it also is decent ganking at about the same time Lee Sin's ganks kind of fall off a little bit.
Yeah. Azingi, he can play Lee Sin, but he just doesn't like it. He doesn't feel comfortable enough on the champion. You really have to be super confident in yourself on Lee Sin to be able to play it, because there's a lot of split-second decisions that need to be made. To get proper engagements off with Lee Sin, you have to be very comfortable. And a lot of these junglers that are in the Challenger Series have like fallback junglers. Outside of like the top couple, they always have that jungler that's still in their pocket that they pick when everything else is banned or taken away from them. A lot of players have Vi, some players have Elise, some players, I guess Azingi has Fiddlesticks as well, so he's got a couple.
And Karthus.
And Karthus.
It's a little debatable how much we'd see that, but yes.
Yeah, and I mean, we did see it in the expansion tournament. St. Vicious brought it out to pretty decent effect twice, and it could be a potential for Azingi, but...
It's also Saint, though, too. It's a little bit of a different style of jungling.
And you don't expect it.
Yeah.
Nobody expected
it.
They drew 3 jungle bans that game in the expansion tournament, and then he just went ahead and played Karthus. So they wasted all their bans. So not only did he play a jungler that he was ready for, they got everything else they wanted. But
yeah. Well, speaking of getting what they wanted, too, I think G6 is pretty happy with this one. But you're right. They have a little bit of a weird mix and match, just like we saw in, I believe it was one of the Cloud9 games. So looking across the board, they have the Xerath, the snipe. They have Jarvan, which is kind of like, oh, we want all in. Maybe you can trap people in there, be able to pick them off easy. You have the Caston to be able to hunt down. So they have kind of chase and snipe sort of written all over it, but their disengage is a little bit, I want to say questionable here, because it relies very heavily on landing skill shots and conserving your dashes. I think Janna would have been a really good choice in this situation over Morgana.
Janna didn't.
I don't think the Janna was banned.
No. But it didn't work out for them that well in the last game, and maybe they wanted to switch it up.
Oop. Well, if they'd have landed that binding, I would have just ate my words there, because that would have been like first blood.
They have a fantastic pick comp, though, here.
They do. They really do.
You land a binding, and then all of a sudden you're stunned up by Xerath. You're trapped in a Cataclysm by Jarvan. So much follow-up as well. As soon as they land a CC, they can just burst down single targets so quickly and have so many tools for just getting in fights. Now, there is pretty decent like disengage potential, I suppose, for 3-2-1. Nami is a fantastic champion. She has good disengage, but not the best. Good engage, but not the best. She's sort of just a middle ground, and I think that's why Indivisible likes it so much.
Minions have spawned.
Now start this one off, though. 3-2-1 is really throwing everything into the bush bait, or just, you know, shoring up that they won't be invaded here. And it's kind of odd. You'd think, I mean, again, they are the conservative team. They are the one that kind of holds back a little bit, but they don't have a terrible level 1.
Oh,
if they really want to try and grab some deep vision, but they're holding back.
Yeah. Deep wards are sort of the name of the game right now, because there's being able to keep track of a jungler deep in his own jungle gives you more opportunities to protect yourself from ganks than just having like a ward up the river. Because wards up the river, they're obvious, they're easy to clear, and sometimes they don't give you enough time to even react. But if you know that a jungler is sitting at the wolves, or you know that a jungler is like sitting at their Gromp, then you can really get a lot of information about not only their path, but where they're going to gank next. So I like the deep ward coverage here by 3-2-1 early game to sort of just spot out Cloud9 and where he's going to be going early.
Yeah, Jackstar and Indivisible down in the bot lane, just moving it over a little bit focus-wise. They've taken a bit of abuse here, but the real big issue is if you just land one binding, it doesn't matter if you've missed 10 before then. This is where creative can blow you up. And last game, they played a very different bot lane, a very more passive bot lane, I'll give it. But the dynamic changes, and if you can switch around, that kind of screws with your head a little bit. And said, well, wait a minute, this is the same lane that was playing, you know, with the Janna Tristana last time around, and now they're going to try to blow me up. Look at that. I mean, just Black Shield on. You can't really harass that much, especially against a Corki. And I'm actually starting to think that the Morgana choice is a really good laning pickup, but it also fits into, you know, the chase comp that you mentioned, or the catch comp.
And at level 6, you land a binding, Graves. Boom. One of the highest burst AD carries at level 6 out of any champion. And that can be scary to deal with sometimes.
And just the threat of that, it's already starting to push back Jackstar and Indivisible. And you know, it's going to be a very different mid-game this time around. Both teams have a very solid damage peak at that point. And if it does make it to late game again, it's going to be a much more even thing, regardless of which team does. And I think this favors 3-2-1 a little bit, just because they seem to thrive on waiting for their opponents to make a mistake. But if G6 has learned from that previous mistakes of that last game that they made, they have a really big outplay potential here.
For sure. Now, the big thing to watch here, I think, is probably going to be Arcsecond once again in the mid lane. He won't be able to get much of an advantage like he did in the last game, just because Xerath is much safer of an AP carry of a mid laner than his Fizz was. And Arcsecond was, a lot of the times, the key for 3-2-1 winning some of those fights, getting to that backline. If he wasn't picking up a kill, he was causing chaos. He was so far ahead of Pekin Wolf that he was a non-factor most of the game. But he's not going to have that luxury this game, so they're going to have to rely maybe a little bit more on just their ability to come out ahead in the rest of the lanes.
Yeah, and for all the scary potential here, G6 has yet to really make a big move in any of their lanes. Obviously, they're going to wait until 6. Up in the top, RF Legendary is going to take quite a while to scale up. Big ol' Ron should punish him fairly easily at level 6 and even a little bit before that. But I'm actually very surprised this bottom lane. They've yet to really land a binding, and that just speaks to the good positioning of Jackstar and Indivisible. And there we go. As soon as I say it, the caster curse is real, but they have no follow-up, so they're not really able to do much with it.
I think you're Magic.
Might be. Like I'm like anti-Magic. I cheer for someone and they lose.
Yeah. It's really weird. Every time you're like, oh, their positioning is so good.
And then they just
all of a sudden it just seems like everybody's possessed to be out of position.
This is why you're the color commentator.
Make Arc Second die right now, Pyra.
I don't want to do that to him. I like him.
Commend his positioning and his laning prowess right now.
We'll see if he earns it. We'll see. He's actually going to jump in on to Peck and Wolf right there, but Cloudwind, there we go. The death mark. Azingi tries to make some moves as well. Teleport now coming in. RF Legendary. They've yet to chase him down. Arc Second will finally secure that first blood. Azingi and Cloudwind. Everyone's just dueling 1v1 around, but they just are able to tag team it up. Azingi pretty low here. Might give up the ghost, but RF Legendary is still pretty low. Big ol' Ron as well, and they take it a double kill, and it's 2 for 2 on the map.
Just sticking around a little bit too long, and they might have thought that they had Arc Second as backup there, but if they had been able to get out with just picking up those 2 kills, even with Azingi sacrificing his life so that Big ol' Ron could have escaped, that would have been fantastic for 3-2-1, but they just get a little bit overzealous, and giving 2 kills over to a Kassadin this early on is bad. It's really bad. RF Legendary had a solo kill in his lane last time, and that was just 1, and he still gave them a really rough time. This one might be even harder.
Yeah, Creative and Anjo are playing this out really, really passively till they hit that level 6 mark, and I would bet you see a switch flip there, and they just start to play a little bit differently after the fact. Really good dodging, though, until I curse it again. But now they're going to be able to land the Dark Binding. Jackstar's in a lot of trouble. Summoner Heal is down, and he might not live long, though, but no level 6 for Creative, so he's unable to put the real hurt on Jackstar, and Nami Sustain saves his life.
Such patience, though, by Jackstar holding on to his flash. Forced to use the heal, but that's not the worst thing in the world, I suppose. CS is still even, though I think Corki has a little bit of a bigger power spike with Trinity Force than Graves will, so they should be A-okay in that lane. The lane that I'm worried about here is going to be Big ol' Ron up top, because Lissandra can be a little bit of a sitting duck. It's hard to trade with Kassadin once he hits level 6 because he has, of course, just reduced magic damage taken overall because of his passive. Then that magic damage shield that he gets from his Q. So it really makes it tough for Lissandra to do much. And
there's level advantage too.
Oh yeah, level advantage as well. Gold advantage.
Ooh, Arc Second is caught. Takes a little bit of poke trying to clear out the Pink Ward, and Azingi thought about going in to help him. Not really required right now. Jackstar, this guy has been escaping from things that Houdini couldn't have pulled off, and a lot of it's due to Indivisible, but it's incredible how well he's been able to just not die in these situations. But Creative, it just keeps looking on the hunt for that. They're still trading even despite it all.
Yeah, I was talking with the old mid laner from Vision, Abu222. He's a challenger player, and I was asking him a little bit about his whole team, and he said he didn't know much about Jackstar except that he's consistent and resilient. And now that's just sort of showing. He hasn't really had like a performance in the games that we've watched where he's just dominated lane, but he's never really fallen behind. And you could tell he always stays competitive and always stays like within a certain amount of CS or a little bit of CS ahead. So he's not flashy, but in the past couple of games, in the round of 16 matches that we watched in 3-2-1, he did his job and did his job well. So been pretty impressed with him so far.
Yeah, I mean, this squad is really doesn't have any glaring weaknesses apart from the things that have sunk them in the past, and they have seemed to have improved that just a little bit. They knew when to take fights in that last game, and despite the fact that they didn't really do that much when it looked like they would be the strongest. They were able to take a very unorthodox series of fights and take that all the way to the victory. And it seems like they're really happy to just play out a very passive laning phase against G6, not give them anything, not give them any advantages. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to look for the kills. It's very reactionary play, but they seem to have gotten close to perfecting it.
Reactionary play is like how you describe this team. They just wait for things to fall into their lap, but they never really get like pushed down. Uh-oh. Oh. There's not much
fall into the lap. I mean, they choose to take it. They don't seem to set anything up, as you mentioned, but when things do happen, they're very quick to then react. Again, it is a very patient game. It's the mentality of a Zingy that's kind of influenced the entire play of the team, for better or worse.
When you have one voice in the team, especially a jungler, your whole playstyle can sort of lean towards that one player. And we've seen it with teams in the past, where they have a primary shot caller and everybody just goes to that, but back down the bottom lane.
Ooh, he gets blown up pretty quickly there. A little bit of help from the jungler is going to net one pickup for Jackstar. And it could have been creative too. I mean, see, they were able to react pretty quickly, but that was the proactive play for them. And Azingi just said, hey, you know, I can hit bottom. We can take this kill. We're going to get at least something out of it. And they do it without taking any heavy losses. And now look at this, setting up the trap. Creative thinks he's safe. Cloudwin wants to start off the dragon. But meanwhile, he's not. Surprise! Jackstar taking down Creative.
A sneaky play there, but Cloudwin is here.
Teleport in. Jackstar's actually still alive. Cloudwin's all alone, but there we go, the snipe. RF Legendary with the teleport a little after the fact. Big ol' Ron on the chase. The theater has moved down to the bottom side. Ward is out for RF Legendary, who will find himself in a world of hurt in the Dragon Pit. Arc second, though, now by himself. It just seems like one action causes another. But Anjo and Pick and Wolf can't really do much to Arc second here, and everyone will back away after that. It ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, all said and done.
Yeah, a really nice sneaky play there, and I think that RF Legendary got a little bit too ahead of himself, and he could have gotten out of that situation with just letting his teammate die, but end up trading 2-for-1 in that small skirmish, but I think 3-for-1 overall, if you account for everything. Dragon's still not being picked up, but this is a nice lead here for 3-2-1 to be able to start focusing on objectives. And again, Arc second finding ways to pick up kills. 2-0. Doesn't have much advantage in the lane, but starting to ramp up a little bit. And Jackstar as well. It looks like they've been struggling a little bit of in lane, being pushed out, getting engaged upon, the bindings hitting, but somehow they've managed to find some ganks with the help of a Zingy.
Have been able to do just that. Cloudwin now chasing out Jackstar, who doesn't quite have his cooldowns. There we go, the Valkyrie will keep him alive, but that was a close call. Zingy now going to try to find Anjo. Assault and battery down, but the flash away is not going to be enough to save his life. A Zingy picking up the kill for that. They can look to start this dragon right now, but no smite just yet for a Zingy, and they're going to take their time about this. Again, ever so patient. No dragon.
Yeah, this is pretty decent play. Oh, Arc second with the fancy footwork, but
yeah.
not really much going to come out of that.
Didn't expect him to go that way with the Shadow for sure, and also Indivisible's dodging. Big and Wolf is just having a hard time in general. He's doing okay this game, but between this whole set, he just hasn't really had as much of a chance to shine. He's been focused down a little bit, and he's had to deal with an Arc second who's been on Zed 2 games in a row, and last time it turned out pretty disastrous for his team, but And this time it's starting to do the same. 2-0 on Zed. It's not terrible. Now, big ol' Ron has to be careful. Dealing with RF Legendary, as you mentioned earlier, just starting to walk all over his face.
He struggled a little bit. Now, the one thing that he has going for him, though, is that it's really hard for anybody to dive against Lissandra, because all of a sudden they frozen tomb you under the turret, and they just scoot on away. And, oh, there's a frozen tomb, but that was a little bit early.
Oh, boy. But big ol' Ron won't go down as Zingy actually misses the Vault Breaker, and he's on the chase with RF Legendary, but I can't help but thinking he'll be able to get out of that one. Void Walk, or Rift Walk, rather. Pretty secure spell. He didn't even have to utilize a second tag up. There we go, comes right back on in. He thinks he's safe. Zingy's really been a lot more over the map this game than we usually see him.
With Vi, you sort of have to. You can't get to a situation where you're getting complacent as Vi. just because of how well she scales and how reliant she is on getting some early ganks to be able to keep up with junglers like Jarvan. But he's been sort of in the right place at the right time, and he doesn't hesitate very much in the early game. Where he hesitates a lot of the time is making more drastic calls later on. But he's definitely been playing well.
Oh, nice dodge with a quick draw. Jackstar, exhaust is down. Soul Shackle's only going to connect onto Indivisible, but they will be enough to stun him up. Jackstar now being targeted down. Collateral damage. There we go. Although it's Cloudwind in a lot of trouble, flashing away. They've caught Indivisible with an Arc Bind, and everyone collapses. G6 coming up with a pair of kills in the bottom side. All 5 members make it out alive for now. Cloudwind pretty low here, and this could be the Dragon start. A very late Dragon for either team even attempted.
Yeah, Zingy is still up and healthy. No teleport available for big ol' Ron, so he's going to rely on a steal here. Arcsecond is healthy as well. Cloudwind is too low to be able to get into this one, but they're just going to give it up. And
didn't even smite. Oh, he didn't have smite.
Didn't have smite because of the engagement.
And he was way too low anyways, but they secure that one up, and that will be G6 taking the first Dragon.
Just a rough set of plays for 3-2-1. There's no reason to go aggressive like that when you know you don't have the numbers advantage in that situation. That was a good roam by RF Legendary, though. That was actually just a straight-up roam and not a teleport engagement because his teleport was actually down. So,
you know, with that move, G6 doubled the Dragons that they've taken this series so far. It's a pretty big deal, man.
Yeah, that is a pretty big deal. They're no Team Dragon Knights, that's for sure.
That's definitely true. Now Indivisible, he's a little bit caught up, but he's able to sustain up through. Maybe not through that. RF Legendary just seeing an opening and taking it. Jackstar pretty low here. They're going to turn down for creative. Big ol' Ron with the assassination himself. Those top laners are just going ham. Jackstar blowing up Cloudwind. There we go. Frozen Tomb is on, but he's by himself. Assault and Battery jumps right back on in before he goes down. Arcsecond now should get bursted here. Not enough damage Pecking Wolf has, but RF Legendary says that's perfectly fine. It's a 3 for 2 so far. Big ol' Ron trying to fake him out for just a second. Should get back to tower range. Nearly dodges the Dark Bind. There we go. RF Legendary will take him down, making the score 3-2.
And so the gold is still even, but that's another big victory for G6. Now, the big thing, Arcsecond died there without using Deathmark or Flash. So he came into that fight and really didn't do much of anything. Whereas Pecking Wolf actually was a big deal in setting up the kill onto Indivisible, picking up that one, and doing a lot of consistent damage over the course of that fight. So virtually that was a 4v5, and now RF Legendary is just huge. He's got 5 kills, getting dangerously close to picking up that Zonya's Hourglass, which is going to make him tough to take down, not only because of Lissandra, but also because of the death mark from Zed. So this is not looking quite as good as last game for 3-2-1.
No, not at all. Here we go. Cloudwind going to jump onto Jackstar, but look at the damage that Corki's able to put out. That's the Trinity Force spike, and he's just starting to go nuts. A huge investment in wards for both these teams is really that's the refreshing thing to see. We didn't see quite as much vision last game as late as it got. It was more focused on the denial game, but this time around they both want to be able to grab every little bit of movement around the map as they can, and so far it looks like 3-2-1. They may be about even. They've been taking, I would say up until a few minutes ago, they were taking the better fights. G6 has kind of started to change that now. But you're right, it is kind of back and forth, and I don't really see that changing unless somebody just really steps up the way that they're positioning to set these fights.
Zingy has had some good ganks. I think he's actually been more effective this game than he was the previous game on Fiddlesticks, but the rest of his team not quite stepping up as much as they were in the last match either. Big ol' Ron has been struggling in actually both matches against RF Legendary's Kassadin, trying to find some openings and attempt at a flank here, but
They weren't really synced up with it at all.
Yeah, and G6 just spotted that one out right away.
Yeah, that was a little bit awkward there. This tower is very low. It's a natural target. They're going to try to push this one down, but you know, they really just need to make an all-frontal attack. There's no need to sneak around like this, be ninjas, but here we go. Azingi, Assault and Battery. They find Andra. They blow him up. Turn around. Cloudwind now. Ice Tomb is on him. They're going to take the tower. They're looking for Creative as well, and he's going to get popped, and they just get a little bit more for all that. 2 for none, and a tower that was a long time coming for 3-2-1.
Just a brute force engage, and that's exactly what they have to do with this team comp. With Lissandra and Vi on your team, you really just have to go in and hope for the best. They timed it around the turret, so they gave G6 a false sense of security, saying, hey, your turret's still there, but it was too low for them to be able to use it as sort of a defensive tool. And they lose 2 players for it. Now they're in a position where they can just continue pushing onto the second tier. Now RF Legendary does trade objectives up in the top lane by getting that turret, which is just about all he can do since Big Ol' Ron is down in that bottom side. But I think that's definitely a pretty big pickup for 3-2-1.
Yeah, the kills especially help there. It just shows that when they do go all in on that, they're able to make the plays. Azingi, I mean, basically it's effectively pick a target. If it doesn't get black shielded, they're going to be able to blow you up. They just have the damage output there. Arc Second now is going to go deal with RF Legendary, gets the death mark on. He's going to Shadow Step over, try to get a little bit more damage to pop him down, but it just really isn't anywhere near enough to deal with the Kassadin. Once again, 5-1. RF Legendary, well, we talked about his champion pool expanding. It maybe is so far only expanded to Kassadin, but you know what? He's approaching Nidalee levels on it.
This is very true. And being able to pick up early, having it as a flex pick for Pekin Wolf, who's also very proficient at Kassadin, has been pretty good for them. I mean, they weren't able to turn it into a victory. Whoa, Creative.
Yeah, Creative. Woo, buddy. Stick around a little too long, and you'll find out what happens. Jackstar, though, trying the 2-step game, but it doesn't even matter. Cloudwind's able to poke him in the back of the head with the lance. Chilling Smite down. They're looking for Indivisible, and they wait just until after the bubble. Here comes Azingi and Big Ol' Ron for the punishment, though. Shut down. Ice Tomb. They're going to nearly find Cloudwind. Azingi going way too far forward, though, trusting that he can tank it up, and it looks like so far he can. Ballbreaker, the 2 for 3, and they're making a run scared. Anjo is only a punch away from going down, but they don't follow up properly, and now the tables have turned. They have to retreat. Ice Claw coming back in. They don't want to take it, though, and Arc Second shows up, and it seems like nobody wants to take the fight when Arc Second's there.
Yeah, a close call, but I think they learned from last time where Arc Second came into fights and just cleaned up, ended the game with, I think, double-digit kills. This is a little bit dangerous, though. Cloudwind starting up this dragon. He doesn't have much damage, doesn't have much backup. I guess they're going to be able to take it, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's dangerous, as you said.
Wow.
Arc Second is here. They might actually chase them off. Here we go. He gets stunned up. Teleport, though, coming in for RF Legendary. Arc Second, he's wandering into 4 members, but here is Big Ol' Ron as well, and Arc Second could go down. He's going to get the kill, but he's not quite dead just yet. There we go. RF Legendary. They also find another pickup onto Pekin Wolf. RF Legendary and Anjo, the only ones alive right here, right now, trying to keep it that way, but he's still low. Here we go. Dodging, 2-stepping the rockets, and he gets out of dodge. Just barely, but as you said, it was such a dangerous dragon attempt, and they didn't have the tools to take it.
Yeah, that's maybe a little bit of an oversight by them. I don't think they realized that Arc Second would try to come in to contest that. And Arc Second had a little bit of a rough time. He got CC just as he shadow stepped in and wasn't able to get his death mark off right away, but he was able to stay in there long enough to pick up a kill onto Creative, and Creative is struggling. Now, he's 0-5-6 at this point, whereas we see Jackstar at 4-4-6, so both AD carries dying a lot, but Jackstar definitely getting the better of that matchup. And this is starting to look better and better for 3-2-1, even though G6 is seeming like they're still holding their own. 3-2-1, the momentum seems to be in their favor.
Yeah, G6, I don't think this really was their intention, but a lot of the gold's kind of been funneled over to RF Legendary. He's been the one who's mopping up kills and just grabbing a lot of that as well, and he was a big reason why that fight wasn't a total loss for them. But all the same, if you identify one target like that, like they are doing to Arc Second right now, and they could actually blow him up. Death marks onto RF Legendary. Exhaust is down. He actually gets out, and Azingi moves over. RF Legendary very low, and oh my goodness, the chains are on. He's stunned up too much. RF Legendary will just barely bail out of that, and Azingi will as well.
Oh.
So very close, and he sticks around.
Whoa.
I can't believe no one died, but it's not over yet. Cloudwind might be the one, and he is. Indivisible getting the credit. Anjo burns his flash, gets taken down. Unfortunate placement as it's right outside the Baron pit, but 3-2-1 don't want to take that just yet.
And a 2-for-0 trade, but just barely. As Arc Second and Azingi just escape narrowly from that situation. That's heartbreaking for G6 in that position. And I mean, RF Legendary, he's still doing work. He's finished that Zhonya's Hourglass. Rod of Ages seems to be fully stacked. He's got 7 kills in this game, but he seems to be the only one that's keeping G6 in this, and he's trying to do what he can to hold off 3-2-1, but they're driving down this mid.
Yep, they're able to push some serious pressure on it, but again, RF Legendary, he's this very scary point for the team that they're rallying around right now. Indivisible, though, he's lagging behind the team, and there's a lot of damage being dealt between the force pulls. Oh, a big collateral damage. Creative on the chase in the front line, about the only time you want your AD carry that far forward. Those bubbles just simply aren't landing right now, and a very battered and bruised 3-2-1, beating a retreat back to their base, but Minion Wave still not really coming fast enough. There we go. That's going to be G6 able to take down this tower pretty quickly, but Azingi has an answer for it. There we go. They found RF Legendary. There's no follow-up Azingi. It seems like he just wasn't on the same page with that team.
No, I think he might have thought that he could have picked up a quick shutdown kill onto RF Legendary, but they used the heal. They were able to get him back up, and yeah, maybe a little bit of miscommunication. Maybe he thought people were closer than they actually were. But a little bit of a mistake there. Now, in a situation where 3-2-1 should be in a position where they're able to push, now they have to keep in the back of their mind that Azingi's dead. They only have 4 members right now. Their main initiation tool is done.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd. And, you know, going back to RF Legendary, he's the one that sort of has a lot of this gold on him. He's the one that the team started to be centered around a little bit more. That's changing a little bit with some of the kills, admittedly. But if you identify that target and you can shut him down, then it seems like 3-2-1 can get the better of these fights. But it has been really touch and go, back and forth quite a bit. And we mentioned at the beginning of this game, it was going to be a much more even matchup and coming down to positioning across the board.
Well, I mean, last game, it was close. The gold was even, up 1 positioning error by G6, which caused them to give 3-2-1 too much of an advantage for them to deal with. And so this game seems to be the exact same situation. We're probably going to find ourselves in a position where both teams are just waiting for the other team to make a mistake. And I think as far as scaling goes, the teams are evenly matched in that regard. So we might find ourselves in a good old-fashioned standoff.
Well, you got to think that G6 might be tapering off the aggression just a little bit because it burned them in the last game. If they lose this one, they're out of this tournament, they're out of EPS, and they take home $1,000, of course, but you want to at least double it. You want to get that notoriety. I mean, they changed their name and everything, man. They want to make sure that they make it count.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get a story from them on why they actually changed up. But they were formerly known as Fear. I think their name on the ladder is still Team Fear Gaming. And they've been having quite a bit of success as well. A lot of teams, of course, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast, the ladder lock for the North American Challenger Series is actually on Monday at noon. So these teams are definitely trying to get as high up on that ladder. The top 16 make it to those qualifiers. So we're going to be seeing a lot of these guys trying to make it count.
Yep, well, there we go. Creative, he tries to stay alive, but Jackstar follows him right in. He may be caught up in a little bit of trouble, but his teammates are right around him. Anjo with the Zhonya's might not keep him alive for long, but they're turning on Cloudwind, who flashes over the wall to try and keep himself alive. Blinking health bars across the way. Arc Second gonna eat at Arc Binding, but it looks like 3-2-1 just has a little edge here. They do lose both carries on either side, but it just seems like 3-2-1, they come out ahead if they don't secure all the kills, but they're not taking anything for it. So it's like kind of they're not using that little edge that they're getting.
Outside of their initial engagement, they really just don't have much follow-up. They just don't have much lockdown outside of Assault and Battery and Frozen Tomb.
You mentioned cooldown-based fights, and that was what last game was like. It's kind of repeating itself a little bit. They run out of their spells, and then they just sort of sit there thinking, well, we didn't get the kill, what do we do now? Ward's down. G6 looking, eyeballing for that dragon. It's currently 1-1 in dragons, which is a weird thing to say at 29 minutes in, but they're looking to try and start this one off. It has been aggroed. Everyone's here. There's actually a pretty scary set of 3-2-1 members around the backside, but that dragon's going pretty low pretty fast. It's going to get smited away. Azingi attempted to go in for the steal. G6 secures it though, and they also get a little bit of damage on the outset, and they force 3-2-1 back. A little slow to react that time.
Yeah, so that's a big pickup for G6. Second dragon of the game, taking a dragon lead now. And the big thing about that one is that it's a confidence boost, because right now, unlike last game, they've hit a point in the game where they still have a decent amount of power. They're not relying on champions to ramp up like the Tristan in the last game. They can afford to make a little bit more risky moves. And you saw how afraid 3-2-1 was to engage in that scenario. And that could give an indicator over to G6 was saying, well, hey, maybe we can dictate the pace of this game and we don't have to sit back and wait for them to make a mistake. Of course, 3-2-1, this is just their play style. Outside of the early and the mid game, they just play very reactionary. But if G6 can execute well, then they might not give 3-2-1 an opportunity to come back.
You got to think, though, riding high, the confidence train 3-2-1, you know, that has been an issue for them in the past, Zingy in particular as well. And we've mentioned before, he's kind of the heart and soul of this team, or so it would appear. And if you've got the win up and you've got what feels like a lead, even if you're technically in a gold deficit, it still kind of looks like they're more ahead. They're taking slightly better fights, but they just don't have the follow-up. If they can correct that mistake, they can definitely take this later mid-game and make it their own. They need to start securing a few more objectives, though. They're only sitting on 3 towers, and it just seems like once they do that, they don't really do much for a while. They definitely try to go for dragons. They lost out in that last one, so they're kind of left without an identity for the next several minutes to just sort of try and go somewhere, and they're actually sending big ol' Ron down to try and split push while the rest of the members are just sitting in the middle and trying to make sure minion waves aren't getting too far.
I'm actually having a little bit of deja vu. This seems eerily like last game, where both teams are just, you know, farming the creeps in the mid wave, sending their solo laners off to clear the waves on top and bottom, and waiting.
Wash, rinse, and repeat. They definitely are, and it's sort of strange because it's like they have these weird on and off states where they just don't want to fight, and then when they're on, they don't let up at all, and then all of a sudden you just say boom, and the game could end at that moment. But it's very, very weird to see them just kind of not check into anything. And Azingi, I think, is really the one in the position to make the play more than anybody else. Cloudwin as well on that side, but it's all on what should the junglers want to really start a fight. They have the initiation duels. RF Legendary trying to flank right now, actually. Cloudwin, there they go. Big ol' Ron just gets blown up out of nowhere. Jackstar taking down Cloudwin, but it may be a little bit too late for this side. 3-2-1, scrambling around. RF Legendary a little bit low as Azanias comes off cooldown. Ianjo now changes place with them, but they are going to be able to find a little bit more. Peak and Wolf, they use their Zanyas incredibly effectively.
It's an ace!
And they find the ace at 33 minutes in. Creative was barely targeted that fight.
I don't even know what happened.
He got a triple kill.
That fight was pretty much all RF Legendary from the start. He was the catalyst in starting that one up, and some fantastic bindings from Anjo, along with those two pretty much perfectly timed Zonias by both Peak and Wolf and Anjo that just delayed and forced 3-2-1 in a situation where they didn't really know what to do. They were just sort of waiting for the Zonias to end, and it caused a little bit of chaos in the fight, but just a very well-played engagement there. And that's what I was talking about, where G6 are the ones who are in a position where they can dictate the pace of the game. RF Legendary doesn't have to worry about ramping up because he's so far ahead right now. He's 8-2-4.
I can't believe he didn't die that fight.
Yeah, it was very impressive, and that's where the Zonia's Hourglass comes into play, because he rift walked out of the fight. Anjo bought him time with the Soul Shackles, with that Zonia's Hourglass. He was able to just wait for his cooldowns to come back up, come back in, and be able to pick up a couple cleanup kills.
And Peckinwolf, too. I mean, the 3 Zonias were all popped 1, 2, 3 in rough order that way, and they were able to trade the aggro of the enemy team so effectively that they picked it up. I mean, that fight honestly could have gone 3-2-1's way very easily, but a very timely use of actives, and RF Legendary just being far ahead enough and also incredible in his positioning to be able to polish off and help Creative also get back in this game. I believe he got a triple kill there.
Yeah, he did. He was able to come around the back. It was a really nice flank. Uh-oh.
We just sing his praises, and there he gets death marked, gets taken down. Now they turn on to Creative, who's got the Black Shield. Jackstar, though, getting popped down by him. Here we go. Cloudwind trying to keep everybody locked up in the cage. Anjo with the Soul Shackles. There we go. Xerath going nuclear, and they still manage to find a better trade. 1 for 2 in favor of G6, and they're pushing down mid again.
And not yet. This is the big thing about their follow-up. But Cloud1 gets caught out of position, though.
Went too far forward. Arc second and Azingi now. Assault and battery on Creative, and he's going to be able to take him down. A double kill going over to Azingi. Can he pick the triple? He might be able to after the Zanyas, and it's going to be Arc second instead who gets that one. Peckinwolf will get out. So overstaying there and just chasing for kills results in several more deaths, and that could have been a big push in.
Oh no!
Arc second can't check into this, but he was a little low anyways.
RF Legendary teleporting in with home guards.
Oh boy! He takes him down, and RF Legendary might just get himself a double. Azingi trying to get back to his base desperately. He gets blown up. Azingi staying alive. Jackstar and Peckinwolf, though, gonna duke it out with each other. Flash forward. Oh my goodness, he is bloodthirsty right now. And Peckinwolf, no mana, as you mentioned. He may have a good elixir to give himself a little bit more AP, but he just doesn't have anything else left in the tank, and Jackstar can't find him. Will settle for the red buff.
Such chaotic fights, and you said it earlier. When it's slow, but when it rains, it pours. When these guys pile on the action, it really never stops. And it's a lot of mistakes being made by both teams and overextending and being caught out of position. But I definitely like the bloodthirsty feel of this stage of the game more than the past 10 minutes or so.
It is exciting, that's for sure. And it just seems like they are biding their time in a way to try and get themselves up to a level where they're very confident to take a fight, but they have to make several mistakes before they can make one big play, and it's like a powder keg exploding when they do. So Dragon now being attempted by 3-2-1. If they get this, they will tie it up at 2-2 Dragons. It's not being spotted just yet. There we go. Meanwhile, in the middle, Chilling Smite was used on Jackstar, and Cloudwind just keeps trying to solo out kills himself, but it's sort of strange that he's not waiting for backup, and the lack of coordination there's a little troubling. Meanwhile, Peckinwolf is able to take down big old Ron, who actually has had kind of a rough time in this Lissandra. He's sort of going in there, blowing someone up, and then immediately dying, or dying before. And it's definitely not as effective as his Maokai, but this is a very different composition.
Oh yeah, and this could open up an opportunity, though.
Now Baron is being started.
G6 to start up this Baron. It's dying quickly. This is already at half health.
They're able to burst it, but look at this. Everybody else is here. This is so dangerous, and they just try to take it as a ploy. Azingi, everyone being bursted down. Jackstar, though, able to escape to the back line. Azingi pretty low here. Deathmark, Arc second takes down RF Legendary, and they turn it around for a double kill now. Arc second is still causing havoc, but he's lost a lot of teammates. Peckinwolf going on the rampage to pick that one off. Cloudwind, he's burning down, and that is going to leave it at 2 for 2. 3 for 3, there we go. Teleport in. Big ol' Ron coming back into the fight, and here we go with the chase down. He's got his big shoes on, and where in the world did G6 go? 3-2-1 manages to clean house, thinking about the Baron, but they're just going to back off. There's a big minion wave at their doorstep.
And that was a 4v5 fight. They might have taken a little damage from the Baron, but I thought that was actually a decent engagement from G6, just they couldn't clean up the kills. Some preemptive Zonias there, some preemptive ultimates, and Arc second really caused chaos in the back line. And then I think they forgot about Big Ol' Ron. They stuck around way too long. Give enough time to teleport into that fight to help with the cleanup. And that's a big turnaround for 3-2-1, who's looking like they're in a really rough spot. I thought that Baron might have even gone over to G6, but they call it well. They say, okay, we need to go for an engagement now. We can't afford to let them have this Baron. And they come out on top.
Yet again, 3-2-1 proves why they are the reactive team. G6 thought they were safe. Just when you thought you could go into Baron Pit, suddenly Azingi and crew show up to wreck your day. This is it's definitely a deja vu at this point. They're doing the exact same thing to this G6 side, and if they keep up fights like that, they can definitely get back into this game. They didn't take anything off of it. They weren't able to. They had to deal with the minion waves down bot, and they do have a naked inhibitor, but they're no worse for the wear on this one. And as long as they can start taking towers, which are going to be easier to do if they get those kills since the death timers are starting to get a little bit higher, they can really start to push in, and that snowballs more and more the later you get into the game.
Yeah, the next couple of fights are really going to be a big deal. We saw it in the last game. that once those death timers get to a minute plus, 70 seconds, one victorious fight for a team can turn into so much. Now, unlike last game, neither team has a dragon advantage, so we're not going to see a situation where a team can have a super snowball push where they get a dragon, a fourth or fifth dragon plus a baron. But, I mean, baron buff is still huge in this situation, so definitely highly contested. But, I mean, look at this. We're 40 minutes into the game. Exactly 40 minutes, right when I said that. I'm good.
You definitely have a great sense of time there, Zemo.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at the clock either, so that makes it even more impressive. But nonetheless, these guys are within 1,000 gold. And it was the same situation last time. 40 minutes in, they were still standing off with each other, and it was still within about 1,000, 2,000 gold. So,
well, that's impressive too when you consider the kill difference and the CS difference is making that right now because they're dead even in tower, or they're not dead even tower. They're 3 down towers, but they're dead even in dragons. And look at this.
Oh, this is
bold.
Wow.
They're saying that's
is
fine.
really bold.
You have to fight us, but we're going to get at least a tower out of it. Again, they flip the switch to go to proactive mode. They start taking down a little bit more, and they can secure themselves out of this situation. Minions took a tower on the bottom side. Here we go. A Zingy Assault Battery is going to go on to Peckinwolf, and they're just trying to pick their targets wherever they may. They turn it around. Creative will find big old Ron. First casualty of the fight. RF Legendary right in the middle with the Zanya's Hourglass is able to stay alive. Peckinwolf will take Indivisible now at 3-2-1. They get burned for this one. A double kill. 3 for none. And blinking health bars on G6, but they make it out. They did lose a tower for that one, though.
And that's just poor positioning backfiring. It's usually not a good idea to be on the wrong side of the map unless you know that your team has a better straight-up fight. But they were in a situation where they just didn't have anywhere to run. They were forced into one path to get out of that fight, and it just wasn't a great path. They were forced into a corner. G6 had a lot of room to maneuver around. They had the protection of their turrets, and Zengi just got caught out before he could really get off a good initiation. Their team fight was split, and now this is going to be an easy Baron going over to G6, and that could have been the fight that they needed to turn this game around.
Yeah, G6 is going to get a nice sigh of relief after that one. They gave up a tower for it. Well, 2 towers if you count the one that was picked off by the minions. But at this point, it starts to get scary for 3-2-1. They were in a sense of security, and then they said, okay, guys, let's go forward and try to make something happen a little bit on our own rather than waiting for G6 to make a mistake. But they were the ones who got mind-gamed out this time. And it seems like nobody can really make a proactive play, and that's why this game has stalled out. This series has stalled out as much as it has.
Yeah, that's about as much of a proactive play as G6 is going to be able to make, and 3-2-1 just sort of handed that one on a silver platter. They said, well, we're just going to force that mid lane, and that's basically telling the enemy team, we want to fight. We don't want to fight in the jungle, we want to fight in your lane, and I just don't think that's the right move when you're not 100% sure that you have the better team fight composition.
Yep, with Dragon coming up now, this is G6 start to try and roll on forward. They would separate themselves out from the pack here, so they get that one. 3rd Dragon of the game for them to the 2 of 3-2-1, and that movement speed will be just so deadly when you combine with especially RF Legendary on your screen. 9, 5, and 10 on this Kassadin. Just sniffing around to see if he can find some prey out of position.
Wouldn't it be cool if every single dragon buff that you got made a little floating dragon go around your champion?
Oh, like instead of like the Baron buff, like each one is a dragon. Yeah, and just stacks up. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Rito, please.
And then, oh no, pause that.
Yep, Zingy is already gone. I can't believe it. Cloudwind, though, might be soon to follow. And now this inhibitor, it's being fired down pretty quickly. The tidal wave coming out, it's not going to connect on anyone. The black shield was there to keep it alive. Whoa, timely. Zanya's Hourglass from big old Ron entombs himself as well to keep himself alive for just a moment, but they blow him up anyways. It's a 1 for 3. They're starting to push on. That inhibitor is gone, and G6 might just be able to push this one in. They've got a massive mini wave on the bottom side. There's no reaction here from Jackstar and Indivisible. They're trying to keep the game alive. Valking forward. Anjo dodging the damage. The towers are down. Nexus is bare. Jackstar blown up. That is going to be it. Can they get the ace? Yes, they can. GG, and we're going to game 3.
What an exciting finish there. Just that one fight was enough to turn that game around for G6. That's all they needed, and with both teams playing a very reactionary style, waiting for the other team to make a mistake, 3-2-1 just sort of handed that fight to G6 on a silver platter, and they took that silver platter and they said, thank you very much, we'll take this victory. So we're going to a Game 3, our first Game 3 of the day. Granted, this is only the second series, but I think we're in for a long day full of lots of best of threes, and I'm not even upset about that.
I am not at all. That was a fantastic performance. A lot of mistakes were made, again, but it's all about how you capitalize on that, how you collapse. A lot of the times, both teams seem to trade places in their mentality. The few times, this is why 3-2-1 is so conservative. Every time they're like, we can afford to go take a fight. We can bait you up the mid lane and force you to fight. Then they get wiped,
and
practically.
At one point, they actually
crazy.
traded positions literally where
they were going back to the wrong
themselves.
base. Yes.
Yeah.
It was just crazy, and it's really, really strange to see that kind of behavior. They were a little inconsistent. I think they played very well up until that point. You can see that in this series so far, there have been clear turning points where either team has made just a mistake that started to tilt them in a bad direction, and they just don't get another chance to come back into it after that. And when you let a game sit for that long at 45 minutes plus, you can really start to snowball out of control when you get ahead like that. So props to G6. They were able to get off the ground this time and able to do it. See if they can do it again in Game 3. Either way, it's going to be a pretty close series. It has been already.
So Cassidy ban?
Probably. Fiddlesticks ban?
Likely. Aurelia ban? Likely. We'll
We've
have to see what
lot.
else. Big ol' Ron didn't really impress me too much on Lysandra.
Yeah, it was really strange. I think he's much better on those tanky bruiser champions. It seems to be his forte that he wants to sit around and fight a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
and he can't do that when he's on like an assassin.
He's big ol' Ron.
Not squishy Ron.
Not squishy mage ol' Ron.
I don't think that fits the character limit.
No, good.
Does it?
If you SQSHY. Just cut out vowels, man. You don't need vowels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, Fiddlesticks banned right away. Not a surprise.
Really not. I mean, Azingi had quite a game on that one. Now, he was still fairly effective, I would say, on Vi. But towards the end of the game, it seemed like he didn't really scale quite as well as we thought he would.
Well, he went for like a full tank Vi build, which is great when your team needs that front line. But they just really didn't have follow-up to their engagement. He didn't do enough damage in his initial like assault and battery vault breaker combination to allow his team to get in there and clean up kills. With how slippery of a team they were. 3 Zhonya's Hourglass.
Yeah,
you
that
really
was
need to
such
burst.
a good bait and switch.
Yeah, you really
fight.
need to burst people down in order to come out on top of team fights cleanly.
Here's a question for you, as the Maokai is banned away, so Big ol' Ron won't get a chance to do that again. Does Arc Second go for Zed again here? Because it was hit or miss. It was definitely
I actually
hit or
think
miss.
he was one of the bright spots of 3-2-1 last game. He still was able to get to the back line, get some good assassinations off. I think his death mark choices later on weren't the best. And him and Azingi were a little bit not on the same page.
Same thing, though, 3 hourglasses. Kind of hard to pick a target in that situation.
But like Azingi would assault and battery in onto Xerath, while at the same time Arc Second would death mark onto Creative. Things like that where they're splitting their damage and their initiation up enough to where those 3 Zhonya's Hourglass have even more of effect because they're causing more chaos if you're splitting in. Gnar banned away. Cassidy's still open.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising, but with Corki being first pick, they're prioritizing that one. 3-2-1 could take the option to grab it. And Big ol' Ron, well, we mentioned he's not really happy with squishy mages, but Cassidy's a little bit beefier, not just when he gets ahead. He's a very item-dependent champion.
Yeah.
Arc Second could play him. He's definitely been proficient on a number of assassins. Do you think they go for that? Or if they let it fall through, it's kind of been to their detriment so far through this series.
I wouldn't be surprised if 3-2-1 picks up a Cassidy in here. And it's tough to say, but probably a support, either Nami or Thresh. Oh, wow. I totally forgot about Jarvan.
Yeah, well, last time he didn't prioritize it. He said, it's fine, we'll go for Vi. I mean, clearly this time, this is going to make him way more comfortable, I think. And that leaves Lee Sin on the table for Cloudwind, who's been comfortable on that champion, but we haven't seen him play at the series yet. I think that's a really good move for 3-2-1 in the pick department. They grabbed themselves 2 really strong choices that they've had to face down.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I think that G6 comes out on top of this one overall. They actually forced 3-2-1 in a position where you have to pick up Cassidy and you have to pick up Jarvan because they know that Azingi's not really comfortable in anything else. He's a very momentum-based player, so they think he might not play Vi. They want to take the Jarvan away to keep it away from Cloud Win. And they know that he's not going to play Lee Sin, so they say, well, if we first pick Corki, it forces them into a situation where they have to try and take big picks away from us instead of taking picks that they might necessarily want. So G6, I think, is pretty happy with how this pick and ban phase has gone so far. I'm not sure if 3-2-1 has either Big Ol' Ron or Arc Second has much experience on Kassadin, but I don't think it's too tough of a champion to be able to pick up.
I kind of agree with you there, and I think it's still technically a flex pick, even though you're right, they were sort of backed into doing it. And you can see they're letting the timer run down to see what exactly they do want to pick. Thresh taken as the support, and this time Jackstar is thinking about the Graves. They don't have to take their last mid or top lane just yet, of course. I think that's a smart move in general, as it looks like it will get locked in towards the end.
So Jackstar, in the round of 16, which we broadcast on Thursday, just a little bit, we saw Jackstar play Graves to great effect. He seemed really comfortable on Graves, and maybe even more than even Corki, which we've seen him play in the past two matches of this best of 3. So I don't think they're too upset with having to settle for Graves. But I'm really curious to see what they're going to round off this lineup with. We have not seen RF Legendary in this series on anything other than Kassadin.
I'll have to change this time.
Yeah, Renekton, I've seen him play. They've been playing a lot of Renekton, more so than other ranked teams in ranked 5s. And so that could be a possibility, but might be a tough matchup against Kassadin.
Oh, you know, we haven't mentioned Jax that much, and he's actually had quite a surge of power throughout solo queue in particular, and he has been a particular pocket pick for a lot of people. And I think if they lock this one, and they do, they're banking on a decent slope of scaling. They've got, look at this, you have kind of like a rise and fall throughout the series, or throughout the game. And if they get to that late game, Jax can be a real pain in anyone's behind. So that what does that mean? You think Big Ol' Ron's going to go for the Jace and try to shut down the Jax early?
I'd imagine that'd be Arc Second in the mid lane with the Jace. I think Big Ol' Ron would be more comfortable on Kassadin, but it could be possible because Jace is a pretty decent matchup against Jax. Just because he jumps in, you can knock him away. Renekton, I like the Renekton pick here.
Oh yeah, the swap over. This is okay. So that means we should almost certainly see Arc Second rocking the Kassadin. There you go. You mentioned that Big Ol' Ron, he likes to be a little bit more tanky, likes to be in mixing it up. Renekton is kind of that classic lane bully in that sense, and he should have a much better, easier early lane than RF Legendary. But of course, Jax has always outplay potential.
And this is the risk of picking Jax before you know the enemy laner. He might have thought that it was a Kassadin, but again, that's the benefit of having that flex pick. And the league of flex picks right now, it seems to be what it is because things can go anywhere. Top lane and mid lane, there's not much differential. There's a lot of crossover.
They don't matter, man. It's okay.
Yeah, and even in we're seeing in Korea, there's a lot of lane swaps as well. So really, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, not at all. No.
Yeah.
Well, we actually haven't seen any lane swaps today. Not a single one. It's been completely standard lanes. The Jungle Buddy system where they go ahead, take Gromp and Krugs and just get back and set up. So it's very nicely fitting into a little box. I would love to see them actually do something a little bit crazier this time around, and we'll see if they do. This time, G6 is roaming mostly together in this bottom side. We'll see if that changes.
Yeah, it's always good in a best of 3, though, to change things up. You never want to be predictable, especially with your level 1 strategies. Because games can be not decided by level 1s, but can heavily influence the outcome. Especially if the early game, if you have a good level 1.
Well, they're certainly looking to try right now in mass, just showing force, and it's spotted out. They almost clear the ward away, actually, without having to sweep. Doesn't it feel good when you just, 3 shots quick?
Yeah. Especially because you're putting that trinket on a cooldown, which you don't necessarily want them to have that to place like a deep ward or something a little bit later into the level 1. But I'm not sure what their plan is here. It seems like it's just going to be standard lanes once again.
Well, they did put down a ward over by Gromp. I think they just want to get some jungle vision here. And RF Legendary is actually hanging out over by the Merkwolf camp. I'm not sure why he's doing that, unless he wants to just grab early jungle pressure. It is a little bit strange of a start. for this G6 team. 3-2-1's a little more predictable. They're going standard lanes, no bones about it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you want to get vision on that Gromp so you know, not only so you know where the enemy jungler is starting, but also if you're planning on starting the other side, you want to be in a situation where if you see the enemy AD carry and support doing one jungle camp, that you do a jungle camp too to not fall far behind in XP. Because if you do a jungle camp and the enemy laners don't, they could have a chance to push the wave, and then you'll come in trying to get an experience advantage, but not end up doing it. But
I'm just not sure what RF Legendary started. He takes the Merkwolf camp and immediately backs because he doesn't have quite enough sustain there. And obviously he's going for a very sustained lane because he's got the Crystalline Flask, which is typical to do against a lane bully like Renekton. And I guess it gives him a little early XP to fall back on, and he probably wouldn't really lose much for the minions anyways. But the only reason that really would help him is if Cloudwind is just counter-jungling anyways, because now he's lost one camp.
This is so weird. A weird start by G6. They did not come in on top at all. Because, like I said, you want to put that deep ward so you know when the enemy bot lane is doing a camp. So not only did 3-2-1 get a camp without the bottom lane from G6 getting anything or interrupting their camp-taking party, they also...
Their camping trip?
Their camping trip. They also fell behind the jungle because Cloudwind didn't have a leash. Azingi did, so he's ahead in his path. Just a really rough level 1 for G6 and really awkward.
Oh, and a very self-imposed one, too. It just seemed like they were trying to, like, out-mind game 3-2-1, and they just out-mind game themselves instead. So slight gold lead after all of that goes over to 3-2-1. But, of course, it's changing just a little bit. The CS differential starting to even out. RF Legendary is able to sustain up thanks to his Crystalline Flask, but he's still having a hard time with dealing with big old Ron, who just seems very at home on the Croc.
Yeah, they might have been trying to interrupt their camp or try and steal it away or put them at a huge health disadvantage, so the advantage that they would gain from having more XP would be nullified. But they were unsuccessful in both regards. And well, if it isn't a Zingy down in the bot lane.
Yeah, this time he's got a Thresh to help him out too, so these are going to be very potent ganks. But Anjo and Creative have to realize that Chilling Smite is down, but they missed just about everything else. And Creative and Anjo are just very happy with the result of that.
Yeah, that was a little bit rough. Missed the flay, missed the hook, missed the flag and drag, just rough
Take
stuff
two,
all
boys.
around.
Let's come back and try it again in a few minutes. They'll never expect a thing.
Yeah, well, Azingi is... we saw him in the round of 16. He'll camp down bottom lane for like an hour. Maybe not an hour.
Yeah. Now, Cloudwind's doing the
seconds.
smart thing here and focusing on the top to help out RF Legendary. Again, if they get RF Legendary through the early game and into a mid situation where he's not having to deal, I'm kind of surprised they didn't even lane swap that just to try and shut down the Renekton. It might have made some sense there. They should be in a really good position with the Jax to just start splitting away ahead or behind. It gives them so many options, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't opted for it, but I do like that Cloudwind is hanging around up here to try and deal with Big Ol' Ron. And actually, RF Legendary got the better of him on his own for a moment, and Zingi's going to find Cloudwind, though, unfortunately for him, looking for a buff reset, but he won't get any help from Big Ol' Ron. He's busy with lifeguarding duties.
Both these top laners are on a clock, but for different reasons. Jax is sort of counting down to when he's going to be powerful, and Renekton's counting down to when he's not going to be powerful anymore.
Ooh, Creative. Whoa, they go pretty far forward on that one, and they find the bubble as well. Flay is in. Burning Ignite. They have to spend a heal as well, but Jackstar is also incredibly low. He still has his heal in his back pocket, though, and Creative can't really back safely under this turret. That cone of Buckshot could take him down. Maybe not quite now, but likewise, Jackstar has to be careful for the Phosphorus Bomb. A very dangerous game these AD carries are playing, and a Zingy is back to bot lane.
Once again, he's in the bot lane. This time he's found a little bit of a different path to get there.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Lantern in just a second. Here we go, Indivisible. Looking for the setup.
It's so
He's moving around the
dangerous.
side. It's so obvious, though, at this point. And here comes Peckinwolf. Here we go. They don't even take the Lantern. They look for Creative. They turn it on to Anjo, but they don't have enough damage.
What?
First Blood goes over to Anjo as Jackstar stays too far forward. And Azinki gets popped by the Rite of the Arcane from Peckinwolf.
What a play by Peckinwolf, flashing over the wall, a max range stun. And he actually scaled up his ultimate, I think, right in the middle of that engagement.
It was a really nice roam for him because they just took so long to do anything.
And that's one of the, I mean, this is a weakness that I've talked about when spectating Zingy before, especially on Jarvan. He just loves bottling so much. He a lot of times he'll try and force ganks. He'll be really patient, wait down there for a while, but sometimes he just gets out of control. But RF Legendary, yeah, he's gone.
Cloudwin should be safe under tower, relatively speaking, but you're kind of sandwiched right there. Just gotta be careful. It seems like this game's already starting a little more action-heavy than all the other ones we've had today, and you know it's 3-2-1 that's paying the price again for trying to be proactive. They seem to always get punished for it.
Yeah, well, we have a couple lanes here which sort of need to be aggressive. Of course, Renekton, you want to actively try to shut down a Jax, because you just know that he's going to outscale you later in the game, and you know that it's a good matchup for you. Jax is great against like auto attackers, and he's great against those ADs in general, but against like those caster bruisers, it can be really tough for him because he can't avoid that much damage with Counter-Strike, and Renekton can just go in, get some trades, and then go out before Jax can really do much of anything. Uh-oh, creative.
He's getting pretty far forward there. Jackstar actually is able to dodge the brunt of the damage on that. And meanwhile, up in the top lane, starts to get pretty bruiser heavy. RF Legendary going on to big old Ron, and he's just started to find some damage with that Sheen proc. And big old Ron, building all damage himself, just can't sustain through it.
He's going for what seems like the Tiamat build early on. A lot of Renektons go from Tiamat and then transition right away into just building full tank. But until that point, unless you have a big lead in the lane, sometimes you can be a little bit of a liability. Uh-oh, RF Legendary.
Not if you have Arc Second there backing you up. He burns his flash, ward hops as well as Zingy looking for something. There they go. They back off for some reason. They don't have enough damage with the Null Sphere. And RF Legendary just escapes with sub 100 health.
Yeah, I think they thought that the Null Sphere was going to secure the kill. Zingy had a flag up in about 2 seconds, so that could definitely have been a kill, but
they auto-canceled. They could have had that.
Yeah, nonetheless, well, actually, RF Legendary is going to teleport back up to this top lane. He knows Big Ol' Ron teleports down as well, so overall, a lot of wasted time by 3-2-1. Once again, an unsuccessful gank from a Zingy, and RF Legendary is probably smirking right now after being able to escape from what seemed like a for sure kill.
He's got to be pretty happy he's only down 0-1 in this lane. He's kept up relatively well in farm. Every time the camera pans back to him, too, he seems like he's just whomping on big old Ron, which is just kind of odd to see considering how comfortable he should be on that in that matchup. But you know, it's almost kind of a throwback. We haven't seen Jax Renekton since far earlier this last season.
We've come full circle.
Yep, welcome to the meta. Enjoy your stay.
Yeah.
There you go. Going to connect another Sonic Wave on Indivisible, who really hasn't had a whole lot of luck. He's landed a couple of hooks this game, but there's definitely a reason why he prefers other champions than Thresh, it seems to be.
Yeah. Now, Thresh is, I'd say, one of his best champions besides Nami. I've seen him play a lot of Thresh as well. But it does seem like he's missed a couple hooks, missed a couple plays. It doesn't seem like he's as comfortable.
There he goes.
Oh, he doesn't take it, though.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit dangerous. They will try to flay back Cloudwin. Oh, the kickback. Indivisible has to flash his way out of certain death, but Jackstar, he's not so lucky. There we go. Looks like a lantern out to safety. The box is down. Jackstar just dodging the damage from the Xerath ultimate, and Arc Second actually takes down Creative and all that. They make the best of a bad situation. Can they make a little bit more out of it? Bubble not going to connect. Arc Second here looking for something. Cloudwin caught inside the Cataclysm, taken down Peckinwolf. Oh, Azingi staying alive. Peckinwolf trying to change that. No, it's a triple kill. Going over to Arc Second. Can they find even more? Jackstar now chasing Anjo out. Just go to the dragon, boys. That's what you want.
Anjo's on the wrong side of the map, and they're just like, you know what? It's not even worth it. Azingi's got to be really careful here. He is super low, but nobody's going to be here to contest this, so all he's got to be here for is just a little bit of moral support.
He doesn't even have the smite up either. Guys, I'm helping.
He may as well just have bagged in that situation. I don't think that risk is worth it, but that's a fantastic fight for 3-2-1 right there. It seemed like they were losing a little bit of control over the game before that. They big ol' Ron in a favorable matchup, falling behind RF Legendary up top. It seemed like they were trying really hard to make ganks happen that just weren't happening. They finally get an engagement that's just really successful, and that's going to catapult them. They have a strong mid game, and Arc second, 4-0. We saw RF Legendary have really great early games on Kassadin, but not as good as this, I'd say.
I would definitely agree with you there. It seems like he's just taken it to a whole nother level, and this guy just loves himself some Assassins. But RF Legendary is perfectly happy on this Jax. He just has to hope the rest of his team isn't throwing it away for him, as neither top laner had nothing to do with that fight whatsoever, completely ignoring what was going on the map. We're back to the island, absolutely.
Yeah, Big ol' Ron does have a little bit of a teleport advantage here, but RF Legendary is going to be back up, and there's not really anything for them to teleport to. With Dragon being down, with bot lanes there being a little bit of lull in the action. But
RF's been sitting on this Sheen for a long time. He's really punishing this Renekton for it, too. There we go. Look at that damage he's able to put out. But unfortunately, here comes a Zingy. There we go. Counter-Strike can only do so much. Oh, Big ol' Ron exhaust is down. RF Legendary will take him. They trade for a Zingy, and Anjo is here with Cloudwind. Smite's down. Flash is used as well. Can the Xerath pick the kill just outside of it? But he's going to snipe him down. Peckinwolf picks off a Zingy.
And meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it doesn't look like 3-2-1 is going to be able to take much elsewhere. They have a 2v1 situation down the bottom lane. They need to try and push this advantage. But again, a nice roam by Peckinwolf. I don't think they actually even needed him in that situation.
It looked like they could have secured that kill anyways, I agree. Creative, though, he can't hold this one. Anjo is very necessary up there. And as a result, they're going to pay the price, lose this tower. The turret score now 1-1 at 13.5 minutes into this game. Gold lead still pretty small, but a slight edge to 3-2-1.
A necessary objective trade down there for that bottom lane turret. Both these teams are doing a pretty good job of actually trading objectives when they lose out on something across the map. When there was an unsuccessful gank up in the top lane from 3-2-1.
Oh, there's a good hook. Peckinwolf, he's not going anywhere. They waited. Give it over to Arc second, 5-0 on this Kassadin, and yes, we will take a red buff. We'll see you next time.
Oh, wow. Anjo is
way out of position.
Yeah, he doesn't have a turret to fall back on either.
You think he's bad right now. Creative is like, stealth back. Okay, hurry up, hurry up.
He just says, you know what, buddy, you're gone. And
toodaloo.
He gets out, but still.
I mean, Anjo's not so lucky there. I don't know what he was doing there. They saw Peckinwolf picked off. They knew there were 3 members of 3-2-1. It was very weird, and now Big ol' Ron is in some trouble. The Gator can't catch a break, and Cloudwind kicks him to the back of the head and picks himself up his first kill.
Much needed first kill as well.
Yeah, he's been a bit gold starved this game, you're right.
Yeah, not a very good thing, but still I'm baffled by where Andrew was. I guess he was trying to maybe back to his second tier turret to safety. But as soon as they saw 4 members in their jungle picking off Peckinwolf in that mid lane, backing off would have just been the smart play there, but sticking around a little too long does pay the price. Once again, though, neither team seems to have an overwhelming lead in this game, and that seems to be the story of this best of 3. I think about 2,000 gold is the largest lead we've seen in either of these, any 3 of these games prior to 40 minutes.
There we go. The wave out of the bushes is the one that's least expected. RF Legendary tries to beat the retreat, and Arc second jumping right on him. He's leaping out of the fray, but he's not going to last very long with the Ignite taking his health bar away, and Arc second 6-0 now on this Kassadin. They're going to start pushing in. Yes, he is big, and they're going to be able to take tower number 2, 3-2-1 on the roaming gank squad. Picks up another.
And Peckinwolf caught looking again. He had great roams early on, but he's sort of been in a position where he hasn't even been able to do much.
Yeah, would you say that he got caught picking?
Got caught looking.
Ah.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for him to roam right now. They don't have dragon control, or they don't have vision control over the top and bottom side river. If he finds himself in a position where he's roaming up the river and Arc second catches him out, it's just going to be really hard for him to win a duel. So he doesn't really have a choice but to stay in that mid lane unless they have that vision control, which they just haven't been able to take.
I don't think anyone can duel with Arc Second at this point. It's just going to get worse and worse. He's very close to a death cap right now. He's sitting on basic boots, but that's all he needs because he's got the Rift Walk and he's been using it exclusively offensively. He's never been in any real danger this game because the Xerath matchup is just not punishing him at all. G6 has seriously misplayed their lanes, it seems.
It's tough for them, you have to admit. They have a lot of rough matchups across the board. Xerath really has to get ahead early on to punish Kassadin's pre-level 6. Because you're a range champion and you're going up against Kassadin, who either has to use a lot of his mana pool to CS from range. As soon as he moves up, you need to punish him. Just didn't do it enough.
Not at all.
Now they're in a position where they're still in the game. It's only 1 dragon to 0 at this point in favor of 3-2-1.
Could change in just a moment, though. 5 seconds on that dragon. 3-2-1 in control of the area, but they are losing ground here to RF Legendary. This is exactly what they need to be doing. Split push Jax all game long. See that satisfying thunk on the towers. This dragon will be started up, though, and I don't think they really, they're not even going to try to contest this one. They give up number 2. However, a little bit more of a roam now from 3-2-1, looking for stuff on the bottom side. They might find Peckinwolf, who realizes his danger, and he gets out of dodge.
No fear right now, but G6 responding in kind here.
This 2 towers so far, RF Legendary hasn't left this since then, and he's got help from Cloudwind. Yeah, I mean, it's very slow reaction from 3-2-1 as they were happy to take the Drake, but, you know, they come back. Towers don't.
Yeah. RF Legendary, he's pretty happy about split pushing here. He's got a lot of experience split pushing, a lot of his champion pool, especially the Nidalee. He's really comfortable in that type of role.
Creative gets caught out, and he's able to Valk away to safety. The box was not going to catch him up, but it was a close call for G6 and tempting fate there. And Indivisible's down. But Arc Second coming on in, looking for a little bit more. They find the bubble. No, they don't. Anjo is having to move out. Peckinwolf a little bit low again. And the Xerath choice, it's been great when they haven't wanted to take straight fights. But every time the enemy gets close to him, it seems like a panic move. Oh, what's this? RF Legendary's teleporting in.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they're going to separate them. Panic now on the side of 3-2-1. Azingi isolated right in the arcane. Not even needed after that. Cloudwind able to mop that one up. Jackstar in some trouble. So is the rest of 3-2-1. Big ol' Ron has to throw down the ultimate. Dominus just to keep himself relevant and alive. No dragon available. Yep, that's right, RF. But they do win that fight.
A bit of overextension and staying too long without the resources to be able to close out a fight there from 3-2-1. They had a really great engagement in the start over in their own jungle. They got a lot of summoners, but then they just chased. And they tried to set up for a siege in the mid lane when they didn't have the numbers advantage. The siege composition for G6 is a lot better than theirs because they have AoE wave clear with Xerath and Corki. Unless they're going to straight heads up go for like a tower dive or a forced engagement around those turrets, they really just can't afford to be doing stuff like that. And they give up their gold lead. They still have a 2-dragon lead, but at the same time, this is the stage in the game where they should be roaming around, having those gang squads, forcing engagements, forcing Peckinwolf into a situation where he can't just sit on the back line and poke them down, and they're just not doing that right now.
Will Azingi's team ever stop making those positional mistakes? Will they ever get in position? Will they take more dragons? You'll have to find out on the next episode of this show.
Of a Zingies.
Of a Zingy Ball Z.
Of a Zingy Ball Z.
That sounds like the worst branding ever.
I would never watch that show just because of the name.
I think you hurt Azingi's feelings there, man. You should probably apologize.
Too bad.
It is a pretty terrible name.
A Zingy Ball Z.
Indivisible has been making a number of positional errors as well, and I think he just needs to get tankier at this point because he's going for the setup where he can pull in a hook, and admittedly they've been getting good fights off the back of that, but it's just really wonky when he comes up, eats a bunch of poke, and then walks away without even throwing one out there. And if he wants to keep doing stuff like that, well, going for the Righteous Glory is one way to do that, so you can get in a little bit quicker, but I just think he needs more tank stats.
He really does. And still, again, these guys playing reactionary styles. That's what we've been accustomed to with both of these lineups. It's hard to tell again the scaling, but I think that G6 is going to come on top the longer this game goes. Wolf has just impressed me so much on the Xerath in the past couple of games. He had a really shaky start with Fizz in game number 1, but he's filling exactly the role that they need. If they're playing the reactionary style, Xerath is perfect at punishing teams that overextend or make mistakes. And that's exactly what they've been doing and they've been waiting for from 3-2-1. And even though ArcSecond has had a fantastic start, he's having trouble finding openings. RF Legendary last game would sort of just force openings and use the Zanya's Hourglass as sort of a leverage tool to jump into a fight, focus a lot of attention on himself, give his team time enough to come in and help him out, and ArcSecond's just not being able to mimic that from the mid lane in this game.
It does seem that 3-2-1 have changed their style quite a bit in this game compared to what we've seen from them in the previous two, whereas G6, as you mentioned, they're kind of doing the same thing, albeit to a little bit less success right now. 3-2-1, not only are they being more proactive, and it's sometimes to their detriment, but it's working out in other cases. They're more proactive about the dragon control this time. They're 2-0 on it. It's less than a minute away, and they're trying to get that control. Of course, it looked like Scuttle Crab was stolen away by the Lee Sin. And they're also doing a lot of invades, trying to catch people off the back foot. So this is a variance here, and we'll see if it works out for 3-2-1 in the long run and shows a little bit of variety, strategical variety especially. You need that to be able to survive a gauntlet like the teams in this tournament and come home away with more than just that $1,000 that you're guaranteed for making it to this stage.
And not even just this tournament, but moving forward into the Challenger Series as well. This is a nice chunk of change for them if they're able to make it far into this tournament, but they also need to use this as a time to just improve their team play overall, because it's going to be a tough road. The North American Challenger scene is stronger than I think it's ever been. I mean, it makes sense since it's not like in its infancy anymore. There's starting to be a little bit more infrastructure moving towards Challenger and amateur organizations. But some of these guys need to step up their game maybe a little bit.
Yeah, you can't afford to make those kind of mistakes against higher tier teams. Now this Dragon will get picked up by G6, and that was their first Dragon of the game. They did have fairly poor Dragon control in game 1, stepped that up in game number 2, and that did result in the win for them. Now Indivisible, ooh, burning his flash to get away. He's still, so many times has he been out of position, and he's only died twice for it all, but gotta be careful. That can turn the tables on a fight so fast. And this game's starting to stand on a knife's edge here.
They were pushed out just from Wolf alone. That is scary. When you're in a position as a team where just a Xerath is making it hard for you to do anything,
well,
they need to find a hard engage.
They're trying, but the bubble was down on ArcSecond. They can actually chase him away. He's going to be able to rift walk this one, and now Cloudwind in some trouble. A Zingy, everybody get in the pit with me. We're going to have a fight. Anjo getting taken down. They've already found Cloudwind, and they might be blinking health bars, but they're still alive. RF Legendary a little too low to get back into this fight, having to back away as well. 3-2-1 make the defense, even if they lose the tower.
A 2-for-0 exchange, but like you said, they do lose the tower in that little exchange, and they're actually 3 towers down in this game right now, so a lot of that gold is just being sort of invested into that. So if the turrets get evened up at this stage, being 5-2 right now, 3-2-1 would actually have the lead in this match, so they're going to start to pick these up, and they really need to start just hard engaging, just like they did right there. They're not going to win a siege war. They're going to keep getting poked out by Wolf if they stick around a little bit too long or loiter around the map. And fights like that just need to try and catch G6 in a position where they're not able to respond, where they can catch out Wolf or shut down Creative, and then go forward with the fight. But that's the first one that they've managed in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange because they had all this very early action, and it just sort of went back to the default of, all right, guys, we're just going to rove around and try to see if we can find a good position to take a fight, and it just never really happens. Azinki, as usual, is the one making these happen, but as we've mentioned before, he's a very, very patient player. He takes his time. He doesn't go in on anything he doesn't think is 100% guaranteed, whether or not it is. But 3-2-1, it's working for them right now. They just have to keep making plays like that.
Definitely. Oh no, a Zingy.
Oh, speaking of, he is in a little bit of trouble, and he burns. Anjo getting the kill over time. Manages to secure that one up. Little positional errors will punish you.
And they're sort of back to square one now. All of the work that they did to control vision over the past couple minutes, the fight that they just won to try and give themselves control over the match, poof, done.
Up in smoke.
It's gone. Just because of one catch there by G6. So now they're the ones. I don't think Big Ol' Ron can stand up.
No, he's
to
2 levels
our
down. He's
legendary.
like, wait a minute, I'm going to get out of here. Bye, I'm going to get some help. Uh-oh, I'm in a little bit of trouble. Get back to tower range.
Yeah, Big Ol' Ron has not had the best of series. Oh, our legendary's hooked,
Yeah,
but
they don't want to follow up on him. A little bit of abuse is heaped onto him from a distance, but they're able to return it in kind, and it's a tower defense game here for 3-2-1. This has been where they shine, but they're getting their jungle just taken away from them time and time again now, and they have to do something about it. Are they going to keep taking it? Oh, they're going to check in. Arc second, the bubble's on him, and all of a sudden, the hurt piles on, but he's able to rift walk to safety. Very close. If he wasn't on Kassadin right now,
he'd be a goner.
yep.
Collateral damage used by Jackstar just as like a deterrent.
He uses it very quickly, I've noticed. Yeah, very, very quickly. And here we go. Jumping onto Anjo is melted. Cloudwind kicking back. Indivisible, no more hooks for this one, but they might find him as well. Big Ol' Ron getting chilling smited for the disengage, but they're still in the chase. Here's a Zingy dashing out his Cloudwind. He gets smited as well, and they're gonna keep jumping on him, blowing him up. His Arc second, 7-0, gets his godlike at 28 minutes, and without a jungler, without a support, well, up in the top lane, RF Legendary's there, and 3-2-1 are not going to go for this Baron. They're going to try and defend.
Yeah, really smart call by RF Legendary there, realizing that the fight is lost. Let me just try and take the attention of 3-2-1 away from other objectives and towards me. And even though 3-2-1 comes out on top of that fight, they get nothing out of it. Not a single objective is gained from that victory. And you can tell just how hard it is, even for them to just finish off a couple targets. And it seems like deja vu from last game, where they had great engagements, but they just didn't have the follow-up. Arc second, his Riftwalk management, he's been caught a couple times in the last couple engagements where he's run out of mana because he's gotten to that 4th stack of Riftwalk. And that's, out of all the nerfs to Kassadin over the past, I don't even know how long, that's the one that hurts the most. It takes so long for Riftwalk.
Well, sometimes you whiff your walk.
That's true. It's a little bit tougher, but it's so much harder to reset the cooldown.
And Jackstar gets RF Legendary.
I didn't even... What even happened?
I wish we could go back and check that one out. It was really quick pan, but yeah, at this point, he's a Jax who's got fairly large stats. He's got a large amount of armor. And if you get caught, you can get 2 or 3 shots. Look at this split pushing that he's able to accomplish right now. 3-2-1 has to respond to this, but they're not. They're taking their time, and everyone else is piling around Baron. G6 is in a great position right now to grab a bunch of objectives for free. Either they get this tower or they get the Baron. Well, they're not going for it, but they should be. It's only a Zingy and Indivisible around here, but they don't know that.
Yeah, Big Ol' Ron cannot match up against RF Legendary's Jax right now. Teleports are available. A Zingy, okay. He gets stuck in the pit.
And he gets a little help from Indivisible. You gotta love that bail.
And I think G6 is in a pretty good spot right now. RF Legendary is just going to go ahead and solo the Dragon.
And he can at this point, although he's going to get a little bit of help from Creative, who's also busy taking some crowd control. So another Dragon going over to G6, evening up that score. And that's going to result in a little bit better of a game for G6. Yeah, 3-2-1 just, they were looking good when they capitalize on a mistake and then try to keep going with it. But that's so dependent on G6 continuing to make these positional errors. And for the moment, they've stopped. So they've allowed the pace of the game to be dictated to them and in their heads about it.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find a way and we have to think, how is 3-2-1 going to turn this one around? They need to find one big engagement here. And it's going to be really tough because they're fighting against a Xerath. They're fighting against a Nami. Their team has so many disengage tools, and G6 is playing around it so well. They're using RF Legendary to fantastic effect right now, forcing so much attention. Big ol' Ron cannot take him by himself. He's slowly going to get stronger and stronger as the game goes on, whereas Big ol' Ron's going to start to get weaker and weaker. He's in a position where he can just take all the objectives on the bottom side of the map and just let his team in.
He's pretty safe, but this would be a rough test for him. Arc second might be the only person who could duel it out with that Jax right now.
He's taking the attention of 2 players.
That's very true.
So that means that the rest of the map, his team is a man up. And he's not even in danger of dying when those 2 players come to contest him. He just has to run away, back off, and then look, he goes right back to the split push game. And 3-2-1 is just having trouble finding a way to effectively and efficiently deal with this. It looks like he's just toying with them.
Yeah, it does seem that way, and he's actually going to try and jump on. Well, decides to turn his attention to Big ol' Ron with the counter-strike. Will try to run away, but they're drawing a lot of pressure. They're drawing a lot of their own teammates down here to try and close the trap. But it's sort of awkward what's been going on. There we go. They're going to find it. I think Arc Second can get away from this one if he wants, but he comes right back on in. And there we go. They're going to run for it here. RF Legendary a little bit low, and they actually just don't have the damage to put the hurt on Big ol' Ron or Arc Second. And I think that kind of backfired on G6.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think they're really upset about the outcome of that engagement. They're not in any danger of losing any members. RF Legendary has to use the flash, but he does get an ignite out of Arc Second. So still putting on the split push. But once again, back to square one. Both teams duking it out, playing very reactive. Deja vu from games number 1 and games number 2.
Yeah, it does seem to fall back into that trend after a while. They do something, they try something a little bit novel and it doesn't work, and they go, all right, guys, let's just farm it up and wait till the next dragon and go for it again.
It's like their team comms. Hey, everybody, what should we do? Let's all go mid lane and clear a couple waves, and then we'll all go to some of these camps and clear them out as a team.
Is that your Zingy impression?
No, that's my
your Cloudwood impression.
General challenger scene player voice.
Oh, it's like you're the every player.
Yeah, the every player. Insert generic indecisive voice is what that was. Hey guys,
see, I play AD carry, so I'm like, guys, let's go get kills.
You guys want to go put some deep wards in their jungle? No, okay. Well, let's go back to mid lane and get a little bit of farm. That's what it's like.
I'm in awe of that impression.
Oh man,
I think you need to take this show on the road. Go to Broadway. Do a one-man musical.
One-man musical.
One caster. One man. One show.
I'm not sure if people would watch that.
I'd watch that.
Indecisive.
I wouldn't pay money for it, but I'd watch
it. Indecisive North American challenger scene musical.
Well, the name's a work in progress. It's okay. We'll put a focus group on it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Anyways,
we'll call it a Zingy Ball Z.
Then we really will get only one viewer.
Okay.
All right, so the Baron control is starting to be the name of the game here. G6 wants to make sure they can keep it up. And wait a minute, Cloudwind, he's going in. He tried to go back for the kick, but he just baited himself into what could be his doom here. Actually staying alive. They don't quite have the damage. Look at that sustain they're able to give him, and Anjo just keeping him alive as well. Meanwhile, RF Legendary still drawing Arc Second and Big ol' Ron away from the rest of the team, but he might get shut down here. That's what they need to do. No, the hop to the minion's going to keep him alive for a little bit. Riftwalk is up. There we go. And they take it. Arc Second, 8-0. They did pick him off, but at what cost?
Let's call it a day, boys. RF Legendary's down.
No cost at all, actually, was the result. But Baron's going to be nice and safe and sound. No team is happy to take this one. It's starting to be that powder keg game where nothing's going to happen for a little while yet, and then all of a sudden, there'll be this big, massive fight that utterly decides the game. And Jackstar actually takes a lot of damage from Peek and Wolf. They're going to try to go in on this one. Oh, Cloudwind, he's caught up. Arc second. Zanya's Hourglass right in the middle of it all. He's still taking up the damage. He dashes over to the blue, stays alive for just a second, but Jackstar follows through with the flash. Might get sniped. Can he two-step it? No!
Oh!
And a good pickup. The Baron, they might have wanted it, but I don't think they're going for it now. 2 for 1, the trade in 3-2-1's favor.
And that's the difference between it being a 4v3 or a 5v3 and being a 4v3. Not having Jackstar up makes it so that they can't do that Baron. So that's a big deal. Peek and Wolf once again keeping his team in this game. And they can't get anything off of it. And Creative is even going to get the Dragon. So this is like the 3rd time in a row where 3-2-1 has won a fight or got a pick kill and then not gotten anything out of it. And this time they get negative things out of it, where they lose a Dragon instead of gaining anything for themselves.
Yeah, G6 back to that Stellar Dragon control, at least getting back up to that level that won them game number 2. And 3-2-1, they are making a little bit of a mistake in continuing to chase down RF, but they kind of have to at this point. It seems like they're stuck in one of those no-win situations, and I'm curious to see if Azingi can really pull something off here to get his team back into a good position. They may be winning fights, but they're losing objectives all over the map.
Oh, Zingy. Sonic Wave going on. Oh, he takes it.
Oh,
what?
They're going to jump kick back.
What?
I think he regretted that decision immediately. Bubble's going to land onto Azingi. The box is down, indivisible. Pick and Wolf, he's caught up. They've got a lot of burst. They jump him down, and that's going to be big ol' Ron with a shutdown kill, and 3-2-1 is running wild, chasing down G6. This might be the fight they really need. They just can't be stopped, and Anjo going down as well. Arc second, taking tower shots, way too many tower shots, and he backs away. Just blood in his eyes everywhere. They're going to get this tower, but that might have stalled out this push from 3-2-1, and they just are going to back away after that.
And finally, 3-2-1 manages to turn a one fight into an objective. And the key here is that they took out Peek and Wolf, who has been sort of the thorn in their side every time they win a fight. He's just there to pick off a straggler, or
if he was up right now,
down.
He could pick Azingi, he could pick Arc second. They're going to try to contest this Dragon, but will they peel off of it? It looks like they're going to. RF Legendary, though. That's a dangerous target to try and run down. Everyone returns back to the Baron, though. And they're still keeping it live, but it's very low. This is a dangerous game. They need to smite it down. Azingi, there we go. Jackstar picking off Cloudwind by the time that all happens, and they get the Baron on top of it. 3-2-1, back into it, and they've got the gold lead.
All right, so 3-2-1 with a breath of fresh air there, saying, finally, we were able to get something out of a good team fight. And these team fights have been a little bit shaky, but at the same time, they just have so much follow-up, and it seems like the weaknesses that they had in the last game, at least as far as their team composition went, they fixed those up a little bit. They have a lot more follow-up to Azingi's engagements. And you have to go back to, what did Cloudwind even do?
I have no idea.
He Sonic Wave Resonance Strike onto Azingi and then kicked him away.
I think he kicked it, he followed in, and then like halfway through the follow, he's like, wait, this is not a good idea. And then he kicks him back and just leaves, or tries to leave, rather.
Like,
that
there was
very
absolutely
strange.
no point to what he did, unless he was
It
trying
looked
to...
really cool, I will admit.
Yeah.
It would have looked cooler if he'd have gotten a kill.
But, I don't know, maybe he was thinking he was going to kick Azingi back into his team.
It's really strange.
But he's like, you know what, I just feel like going in here and just kicking Azingi over a wall.
Yeah,
it can be very tempting to kick Azingi over a wall,
That's very true.
but you got to draw the line somewhere.
Well, 3-2-1 has started to hit a stride, not just in the way that they've been playing this out the last 5 minutes or so, but the fact that their scaling has started to hit a pretty big one. Arc second, though, is in a lot of trouble. Actually goes on the offensive, and he's gonna get maybe shut down here. Zanya's Hourglass, they need it. How does he live? No, he doesn't. Cloudwind picking up gold out of his pocket, but Jackstar is going to pick him off to follow that up. 1-for-1 trades. They're gonna try to take this tower now, but they really don't have the minion waves to do it. And as big as big ol' Ron has finally gotten in this game, they just don't feel comfortable tanking it up, and they will back away.
Yeah, so that's a big victory for G6. It was a 1-for-1 trade, but they got shut down gold from Arc Second, and they took one Baron buff off. At the same time, trading a jungler for a mid laner, where a mid laner is worth a lot more at this stage in the game. especially since Cloud9 has been struggling a little bit so far this game. Well, maybe just in the past 5 minutes. That kick is still stuck in my head, but that's going to replay. I'm going to have nightmares about that. Thanks, Cloud9.
I think Azingi just is still a little rattled by, like, why did you do that?
Azingi's going to have happy dreams about that kick.
I guess that's one way to put it. Cloud9, yeah, he definitely made up for it a little bit there. He realized he had the opportunity. And by the way, that's much needed gold in his pocket. A big shutdown onto Arc Second is going to net him that. I don't know what Arc Second was thinking going in on that. There was no need. There was no follow-up. And it's almost like he was just throwing the team a bone. Oh, well, a little bit of over-aggression from both teams seems to be punished a lot. You know, last series, earlier in the series, they were both, especially 3-2-1, a little bit more conservative with the way they were playing, but this time they've made a lot of reckless decisions, and it hasn't paid out for them so much. They're so much more better when they bait, when they bait out mistakes from G6. I'm doing it too. I don't even know what's going on anymore.
We're like 2 hours into a best of 3. Please send help. All right.
And here we go. It's going to get started. Azingi, he's pretty low in this one, but big ol' Ron has taken out Cloud9 already. How is Azingi lived through this? He's got his Guardian Angel on, jumping on back in, and they're able to pick off. Wait a minute, Pekin Wolf, he gets the kill. Big ol' Ron going for the dives. Creative, blowing him up and shutting him down. It's a 2 for 2 so far, and Indivisible staying alive through all of it. So is RF Legendary, if that can be believed.
Oh!
Not anymore. Pekin Wolf with the snipe.
Wow, so once again, Pekin Wolf just saying, you know what, you might think you come out on top of that fight or even trade even, but I'm just going to pick off a kill as you're running away. And what looked like a really fantastic engagement there by 3-2-1 turned sour. It just seems like they didn't have the damage. I'm not even sure what happened. That teamfight was just so chaotic. RF Legendary at this stage, even though his score doesn't say it, he's becoming a nuisance for 3-2-1 to have to deal with, because in teamfights, he's tough to take down. He also puts out a lot of damage. And outside of teamfights, he's just a split pusher that you have to have at least 2 people to be able to deal with when he's in any given lane.
And he's able to take out Dragon just about solo. That's the 4th one there for G6 to the 2 of 3-2-1. And it's getting into danger territory. Once you get up to that 5th Dragon buff, you double all those stats. It's incredibly important. And also to note, that 4th one is still really good for particularly RF Legendary if he continues this split push.
This is true. And Devin, once again, back to square one. This is like the 3rd game in a row where we're 40+ minutes in and the teams are separated by less than 1,000 gold.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange to see it happen. Not in different ways too. The way we got here is so different. It's like one of those make your own adventure stories, but at the end it goes to the same page.
Oh god. You just start over
it's like
and it's
a
just
nightmare.
It's just an endless loop.
That is how they keep you reading.
Guess so.
But yeah, at this point it's a little bit of a reset. 45 minutes about into this game, and again it's just going to keep building. Now here we go, 3-2-1 taking a novel approach to setting up a Baron bait this time around, as they've been a little bit impatient before this, hoping Jackstar can bait out the rest of G6.
It's ironic because their name's 3-2-1, like 3-2-1 go,
and they're like,
and they hesitate
really
to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why their ladder name is 3-2-1, 3-2-1, 3-2-1.
Oh.
Because they say 3-2-1 go, then they hesitate and back off. And then they say it again and they hesitate and back off.
It makes so much sense.
And then they say it again, and that time they go. So it takes them 3 countdowns.
I mean, either this game has like wrinkled my brain or you just did.
Mind blown. And they shortened their name to 3-2-1 for this tournament.
So they could make decisions.
In order to trick mind games themselves into making
and us
making smarter decisions or making more snap decisions.
I think you were ahead with that last one. Let's go with that. 15 seconds now on the Baron. This is going to be the big fight. But here we go. Maybe they'll fight a little bit before it. Nope. Big ol' Ron caught up in the action with the RF Legendary. Actually can't click the Lantern. They've surrounded around it. Here we go. They've got the box down. Arc second causing some havoc in the back. Cloudwind having to back away. Big ol' Ron. Arc second getting creative out of this fight. And that could be what they're looking for. 3 kills so far unanswered. And Big ol' Ron takes down Anjo. Arc second gets 2 for himself. RF Legendary is going towards the wrong base. And they're just going to start to push in the middle. Baron. Who needs Baron?
And the death timers are so long right now. We have 40 seconds left at least on the jungler, the AD carry, and the support player for G6 right now. All 5 members up, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're going to be able to take at least this inhibitor, maybe even break off for a Baron. RF Legendary is going to try and do what he can to stop them. But at this stage in the game, without backup, if you die at this stage and give the other team a power play plus a Baron, you might even just lose. Now that they have inhibitor down, RF Legendary has been doing what he can to try and shore up these bad fights, but at this stage, it's just getting harder and harder for him to make an impact.
Yeah, there's really no way they can stop this Baron either. They weren't really in position to contest it. Should have the timer just about figuring it's happened. No dragon to take on the map anywhere. They have to go back down to bottom to defend in a massive power play. You really said it though, 3, 2, 1, and they did go, and they went big. They've managed to get themselves in a comfortable situation here, decent gold lead, and they could start to rock and roll. The last time this happened, 3-2-1 did end up taking the game. They do need a few more dragons in their pocket, but that Baron will certainly help.
Yeah, Baron with an inhibitor down. Only thing left for these guys is 1 second-tier turret and then just the shell of their base. I really got to hand it to Big ol' Ron in this game because he's had a tough time.
And he stepped up, though, the later. It's really weird. Most Renekton's kind of peak in that end of lane phase mid-game and then just start falling down from there. But Big ol' Ron's like the polar opposite. He just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't kill the guy. He's got a Thornmail, Randuin's, Guardian Angel, the Spirit Visage, and his only offensive item is the Hydra. It's incredibly useful for what they want to do here.
Yeah, he's...
Uh-oh, indivisible. No! Careful, trying to get sniped. Oh, trying to run away. No, he's taken down. Bacon Wolf is able to do that, but they will pay for it. Jackstar manages to take down Cloud when they've lost the jungler. RF Legendary all by his own, and he is going to get his Guardian Angel popped as well, and they should be able to take him down. Actually missed the timing, but it doesn't matter. They go for it. They look for more. Big ol' Ron, Dominus on. Anjo, he's pretty low. They're able to take him down. Double killed over to Arc second, and the tower still stands there pinging for it. Guys, where do we go? We can push in mid and try to end this one now. The death timers, as you mentioned, are so very high. It's about a minute before anyone's going to come back on up. And this could be the series right here, Azumo.
A 3-for-1 trade, and I think I finally see the light at the end of the tunnel for this best-of-3 series. 3 50-minute-long games, and finally, in the same style that they did it in the first game, they take a Baron, find a good engagement, and finish it off. And 3-2-1, the second team of the day to make it to that semifinals, guarantee at least $2,000 worth of prize money. And it was a long, grueling battle with a lot of mistakes on both sides, but
hard-fought victories.
3-2-1 pulls it off.
They're able to go on ahead, and they will, of course, be facing off against MSI. Team Dragon Knights. We'll take a look at that bracket. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. If they play like that, they may not have as much of a chance against the very well-coordinated Dragon Knights. But, of course, that is the top half of our bracket completed. Down in the bottom, you'll see coming up next after a quick break, we'll be showing you Team Fusion versus Storm, and then Monster Kittens versus Enemy Esports. So we will take a quick break, about 15 minutes, coming back to you guys after that. Don't go anywhere, because you are watching the ESL Pro Series Season 11 here on ESL TV.